Hello. Hello.
Yes. Are you recording, Dr. Pushpa?
Hi, sir.
Somebody should record. Just push the button
So,
of recording.
I don't think so. Only host can record, I think.
Okay, I'm doing that.
No, I have enabled that. It is getting recorded.
Okay, very good.
So the screen is visible, right?
Yes.
The organizing team, can you all hear me, please? It's Dr. Mahajan here.
Hi, yes, ma'am.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks, Pushpa, dear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. So hearty congrats on your event, sir. You know, it's going to be a rocking performance, sir.
So I think our GS and president has not joined yet, right?
I'm not able to see, sir. I have shared the screen. Can you please check? I told them to join well in advance.
Otherwise, there might be.
Dr. Pushpa, just remind
Yes, ma'am.
everybody to mute.
No, I can mute, ma'am. I can mute.
You'll do it, na?
Yeah, yeah.
No problem. Okay, dear.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Viveka, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Request all the participants to mute yourself for a while.
See myself. If there is anything, inform me. Okay? Fine.
பேர்டு கால் அப்படி வச்சுட்டு நிக்கிற மாதிரி ஒரு பறவை
Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hi, sir. I can hear you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
ಇವ್ರು ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತಲ್ಲ. GS ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. Hi, ma'am.
Hear me? Hello?
Hi, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Ha, ma'am. Ha, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Voice,
thank you so much. Thank you.
voice is not that clear, sir.
Now,
Voice is not that clear, sir.
now, now is it clear?
Yes, sir. Now
Yes, sir.
okay.
I am coming near. I'm coming near the laptop. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. How are you, Vivek?
Sir,
How are you, Vivek?
all good, sir. All good, sir. All good. Fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have become professor, isn't it now?
Yes, sir, sir. By God's grace.
Yeah. Okay, okay, okay. By your effort and also
No,
God's
no,
grace.
sir.
Hello, Dr. Ravi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello, sir. Dr. Nidhi here.
We are waiting for secretary, sir. Hello. Dr.
Hello?
Hello.
Ma'am, I can't see the screen.
Hello.
Is there a change needed in the
Hello.
settings?
Hello. Dr. Ravi.
Hello, sir?
Dr. Pushpa. Are you able to hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir, sir. We can hear you.
Yes, sir. We are getting.
Hello. Good.
Sir, please unmute yourself.
I think we can start now, Dr. Pushpa. Unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, sir.
Hello.
Are you able to hear me, Dr. Ravi?
Yes, Yes, sir,
Yes,
I
sir.
can hear you, sir.
So what about
Okay.
me? Am I audible now?
Yes, now you are audible. You can start.
Okay. Good afternoon, one and all. I'm Dr. Pushpa NB, Assistant Professor, JSS Medical College, Assistant Editor, National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. First of all, I would like to thank you all for showing such a wonderful response for the webinar organized by National Journal of Clinical Anatomy in aegis of Society of Clinical Anatomists, SOCA. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. M. Sivakumar, President, Society of Clinical Anatomists, who is the guiding force for us, Dr. Muthukumaravel, General Secretary, Society of Clinical Anatomists, who is a strong source of support and encouragement, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, Editor-in-Chief, National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, who is the driving force behind this webinar. Also, I extend my warm welcome to each member of editorial team of NJCA and all the delegates who are here. My humble request, participants, please mute yourself. It gives me an immense pleasure to introduce to you all Dr. N. Muthukumaravel, a very well-known name in the anatomy fraternity. Sir graduated from Government Medical College, Alappur, Kerala, and pursued his MD Anatomy from prestigious institute JIPMER, Pondicherry. With 17 years of post-PG experience, has worked in various capacities in different medical colleges, including JIPMER. Sir is currently working as professor and HOD in Sri Venkateshwara Medical College, Pondicherry. He is from Vilappuram, Tamil Nadu. He was former vice principal at Annapurna Medical College, Salem, and former deputy medical superintendent at Sri Venkateshwara Medical College, Pondicherry. He is the founder editor-in-chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, which was started in Salem in the year 2012 on behalf of Society of Clinical Anatomists. He was the organizing secretary of Second National Conference of the SOCA held at Salem in the year 2013. At present, he is the General Secretary of Society of Clinical Anatomists. Honestly, it won't be an exaggeration if I mention we're so blessed to have such a vision leader who is always a strong source of support to us and without whom this webinar would not have been possible. Sir, I humbly request you to formally inaugurate the webinar by your inaugural address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pushpa, for your introduction. Respected President of Society of Clinical Anatomists, Dr. Sivakumar sir, respected Editor-in-Chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, our beloved section editor, Dr. Viveka, the joint editors, associate editors, assistant editors, and editorial board members of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy who are organizing this webinar, the office bearers, EC members, and members of Society of Clinical Anatomists, and other dignitaries who are participating in this webinar. Good afternoon, all of you. As General Secretary of Society of Clinical Anatomists, I am very happy to inaugurate this national level webinar on preparing and publishing a scientific manuscript and editor's perspective. This webinar is being organized in the most appropriate time. Why I am telling it is most appropriate time? Last week on 25th of September only, the National Medical Commission, NMC, became fully functional. And this week we are organizing this webinar. As you know, the National Medical Commission is going to give utmost importance to the quality of medical colleges. They are going to rank the medical colleges based on the quality. The most important factor which is going to determine the quality of any medical college is the number of publications by any faculty member. So, this webinar we are organizing the most appropriate time. There is no doubt in that. On behalf of clinical anatomists, I would like to convey my heartfelt appreciation to our Editor-in-Chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, specifically for two reasons. Number one, after assuming office as editor-in-chief, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi took all efforts to index our National Journal of Clinical Anatomy in DOAJ after fulfilling all the requirements with the help of the editorial board. That was great service to our society. If we had not done the indexing of our journal at that time, now our journal will be having a lot of troubles. For that service, I am conveying my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi. Second thing is, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi took all efforts to have tie-up with the Walters Kluwer publishers. This was a very good decision because at present the Walters Kluwer publishers are doing great service for by maintaining the timeline in publication and by giving appropriate guidelines for the future indexation of our journal. So definitely it was a great decision to go with Walters Kluwer's publishers by our editor-in-chief Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi. For this also, I am conveying my gratitude to him on behalf of our society. I take this opportunity to request all the members to subscribe our journal. Why we are repeatedly asking the members to subscribe our journal? One is the editor-in-chief and editorial board members, they can spend their time and energy for maintaining the quality of the journal. But they cannot spend the money for the purpose of maintaining the quality of the journal. For that only, we require the financial support from the members. Our journal is in crucial phase of development. To maintain the quality, we require money. For that purpose only, we are repeatedly asking the members to subscribe our journal. Once again, I am requesting all the members to subscribe our journal for 3 years. I am sure that our journal will be attaining the topmost position in the world by getting all the indexations. With the great efforts of our editorial board under leadership of our editor-in-chief Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi. So with this remark, I would like to conclude my inaugural address by wishing all the best to the NJCA team for the grand success of this webinar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inaugural address. Our team is highly grateful for you for the constant support. Now I would request Dr. Mohana Priya, Assistant Professor, Madras Medical College, Chennai, and Assistant Editor of NJCA, to introduce the President of SOCA. Over to you, Mohana.
Good afternoon. On behalf of NJCA, I introduce Sivakumar. He finished his MBA from Keynote Medical College and MS Anatomy from Jitner, Puducherry. He has 23 years of PhD and 10 years of PhD teaching experience. He has served as a professor and head Department of Anatomy since 2006. At present, he is a professor head in Jitner, Puducherry, with additional responsibility of team. He is also a MCA associate for UG and PG courses. He has experience of writing many CVs. He has publications to this project. He has authored some books like Editor of First Citation edition of Clinical Oriented Anatomy, Fetal Mode, Anatomy and Physiology for Dental Nursing and Midwifery. He has been awarded up to Memorial Gold Medal and the National and Medical Gold Medal for the praise of public Journal of Anatomical Society of India in 2003. Member of many scientific bodies, he is a former associate and vice president of Clinical Anatomy. Present, he is the president of Society of Clinical Anatomists. I welcome you to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed Priya. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Can I continue?
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to invite you all to this webinar on preparing and publishing a scientific manuscript, an editor's perspective by Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, editor-in-chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. All of you know, National Journal of Clinical Anatomy is the official publication of Society of Clinical Anatomists, and Dr. Muthukumaravel was the first editor-in-chief of this journal, followed by Dr. Ravi. Both of them did wonderful job during this tenure, and at present, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi and his editorial team members they are continuing their work. They are working very hard to make this journal one of the best journals in anatomy from India. Our ultimate aim is to get it indexed in PubMed with good impact factor. But how to achieve this target? First thing is regularity. So the journal should be published periodically before the last date. And secondly, the quality of papers. So how to improve the quality of papers? It depends upon the submission by the authors. Many youngsters want to publish the papers nowadays because it has become mandatory. It is important for faculty to get their promotion from all of you know, from assistant to associate 2 papers, and from associate to professor 2 papers. So totally you should have 4 papers to become professor. This may even change after this recent change in the Medical Council of India. And most of the universities also insist that these also should publish their papers before their final year examination. And for PhDs, always it is there. They should have national as well as international publication. So when you say international publication means it should be of very, very high quality. Therefore, I'm sure this you will all be benefited by this illustrious lecture by Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi. And I would like to extend my warm greetings and thanks to Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Muthukumaravel, General Secretary of SOCA, and Dr. Viveka, Section Editor, and all the editorial members for making arrangement for this wonderful webinar. Thank you all. I wish you all good luck. Over to Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi.
For your valuable motivation and support NJCA always in our timely needed time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mohana. Publishing original research in a peer-reviewed and indexed journal is an important milestone for any academician or a clinician. It is an important parameter to assess academic achievements. However, technical and language barriers may prevent many enthusiasts from ever publishing. This webinar highlights the important preparatory steps for creating a good manuscript. It is also intended to provide a brief overview of the submission and review process of a manuscript for publishing. After assuming our new editorial board, we have received more than 70 articles. Among them, more than 20 articles have been rejected because of various reasons. So, in this regard, we thought of organizing a webinar so that such issues can be addressed. So, today we have with us our dynamic leader and beloved editor-in-chief, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi, to throw light on the topic preparing and publishing a scientific manuscript, an editor's perspective. Now, I request Dr. Jasmine, Associate Professor, RVM Institute of Medical Sciences and Research Center, Telangana, and also Associate Editor of our National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, to introduce the Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pushpa. Good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Audible.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. I warmly welcome you all for today's session. I am honored and highly privileged and all our most important sir.
Hello. Okay. Let me continue.
Hello.
I'm honored to introduce our editor-in-chief, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi is a medical graduate from Sri Krishna Medical College and Hospital, Muzaffar, and postgraduate in anatomy from Jipmer, Pondicherry. His educational accomplishments include FEMAR Fellowship from Manipal University, Fellow of Dr. Lit from California Public University. Dr. Ravi has served as Assistant Professor and Course Director and Head of Anatomy at School of Medicine, Spartan Health Sciences University, St. Lucia, North America. He is a well-known administrator, served as chairperson and member in several committees, and worked as Assistant Dean Academics and Sub-Dean Academics at AIIMS Rishikesh. Presently, he is working as additional professor and having additional charge of assistant controller of examination and additional proctor in the same institution. Dr. Ravi enjoys sharing his knowledge of anatomy and medical education experience with students. He has received Best Teacher Award on Teachers' Day in 2018 at AIIMS Rishikesh. In addition to teaching, he is an active researcher and has published several papers in international and national journals and has authored chapters in various books. He has also presented his research work at international and regional conferences and received the Best Paper Award for his research work. Dr. Ravi is a regular member of the American Association of Anatomical Society of Anatomists, American Association for Anatomists, and lifetime member of Anatomical Society of India, Indian Society of Human Genetics, and other 15 professional bodies. He is also associated with several editorial boards and has served as reviewer of more than 10 national, international journals and magazines. He has been the joint editor and section editor of Neuroanatomy and Genetics, and currently he is editor-in-chief of the National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, an official journal of Society of Clinical Anatomists, SOCA, and recently is elected as member of Federative International Committee for Scientific Publication from India. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. Over to you. You can share the screen. Humble request, participants, please mute yourself. So screen is visible.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you can start.
Okay. So good afternoon, Professor Sivakumar, sir, respected General Secretary, sir, Professor Muthukumaravel, sir, and all the respected faculty members.
Humble request.
Who are
Sorry to interrupt,
present.
sir. All of you, please mute yourself. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, one and all. It's great to see all of you over here. First of all, I would like to welcome our Honorable President, Professor Muthukumar, sir, our respected General Secretary, Muthukumar sir, President Professor Sivakumar sir, and all the senior faculty members who are attending over here. And apart from that, the team members of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy and all the office bearers who, like our treasurer and other office bearer of Society of Clinical Anatomists who are not able to join this session. I'm truly grateful to all the members of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy for being part of this and supporting me like anything apart from not only the NJCA team and the office bearers of the Society of Clinical Anatomists who has always been very supportive and always been very positive in whatever the things we have proposed. Immediately it has been approved. So why means how this thing came into our mind as soon as I took over the charge of editor-in-chief in on 14th March 2020. So at the time when I took over as an editor-in-chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, that time we were struggling to get the articles. I would request to please mute yourself. So that time when I took over as an editor-in-chief, that time we were struggling to get the articles for the publication in the National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. Somehow we managed to publish our first issue, the January issue, and then with the efforts of the team members of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy and the support of the office bearers of Society of Clinical Anatomists, somehow we managed to index our journal in directory of Open Access Journal. And as soon as our journal got indexed, the number of articles what we were receiving for publication in our journal was increased substantially. And when the number of articles increased at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, what we observed that there were plenty of articles which were not even written properly. Means leave it about the grammatical mistake or the spelling mistake, not even the proper formats were there, like what we call it as IMRAD, that is the introduction, material and method, then results and discussion. That format was also missing. So it was quite shocking. And the reason behind that there are few, some of the medical colleges where we don't train our PGs, postgraduate students, for the research methodology, how to write the thesis, how to write the protocol, how to write a manuscript. There were so many things. We understand the gravity, and keeping those things in my mind, we discussed with our editorial board members, and everyone suggested that we should host a academic event, right, regarding this preparation of publication of scientific manuscript, preparation and how to publish this scientific manuscript in some of the index journal. So with this idea, when the editorial board members agreed to this, immediately we approached our office bearers, and office bearers of Society of Clinical Anatomists have always been very positive and very supportive to us, and we are really grateful for all the support what we have received from the office bearers. Otherwise, the whatever things we are able to do right now, it would not have been possible without their support. So I'm truly grateful to Professor Sivakumar sir, the president of SOCA, and our general secretary, Professor Muthukumar sir, even the treasurer, Professor Kavi Mani sir, though who is not over here, but we miss them, and our joint editors, Professor Bharta madam, Professor Vandana Mehta ma'am, everyone, including all the section editors, like Professor Virendra Kumar Neem sir, the Gulam Bhatt sir, everyone has been very supportive and very positive. And I'm really truly grateful to each one of you for making this journal and achieving this level of the National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. So keeping those things in my mind, today I'm going to present a talk on the topic, the preparation and publication of scientific manuscript. And this will be a talk as an editor's perspective. So as Dr. Pushpa has very well just now mentioned that this publishing manuscript in a peer-reviewed or index journal is one of the most important landmark, you can say, for the, either you talk about the academician or you talk about the researcher, scientist, or you say the clinician. Or it is one of the vital parameter you can say to assess academic achievements of any individual who are working in any of the academic institutions. So keeping those things in my mind, I will be discussing the format basically concerned about the original articles. The widely accepted format which is most widely used is IMRAD, that is the introduction, material and methods, results and discussion. And apart from how to write a good manuscript, we will be discussing even how to publish the article in a good journal, how to select a journal, what are the different processes from the editor perspective when the article is being submitted to a journal, what are the different processes are there, what is the life cycle of an article. We will be discussing and we will be touching all those points. So my intention is to ensure the practical recommendations and tools to write scientific manuscript and improve its chances of acceptance in any of the peer-reviewed or the indexed journal. Now the question arises, why do we publish? Very honestly, if we talk, the most of the faculty members of the medical colleges, if we very honestly we say, the main reason behind this publication of an article is the promotion, right? If you talk, either 80 to 90% of the faculty members, they publish their manuscript or the articles to get the promotion in the medical colleges. There will be a few people also who are passionate to create an academic footprint, and they publish because of their passion, right? So as soon as this this National Medical Commission is there, prior to that, we had this Medical Council of India. And as per the new guidelines of the Medical Council of India, which was released in the month of February 2020, the MCI says that from assistant to associate, one publication or the research article is mandatory, apart from this basic course of medical education technologies and the basic course for biomedical research. So, and similarly, from associate to professor, there should be 3 publications or the original research article. And there are some of the journals which are indexed either in the Medline, or you say the PubMed, Scopus, or Directory of Open Access Journal. So in these indexed journals, the article should be published. So I said that most of us, we publish to get the promotion, but there are people who publish not for the promotion, but because of their passion also. And those members, those academicians, researchers, scientists, or the clinicians, those who publish their articles because of the passion, you can see their citations, 2,12,688, or since 2015, if you see their citations, one of the authors I have included over here, the total number of citations since 2015, if you see, it is 73,633, right? And ITIN index, if you see, it is 694. So there are people who publish because of their passion, and there are people who publish to get the promotion. Now, to publish their article, we should have some ideas. The research ideas should be there, right? Now, how to get the research ideas? Ideas will come, right? The different ideas will be there. So as much as ideas you get, it may be 10 numbers, it may be 20 numbers, it may be 100 numbers. So however ideas you get, you try to publish, write as many papers as many you can. Suppose if you get 10 ideas, you publish 10 papers. You get 20 ideas, you publish 20 papers. But you must publish. Whatever ideas, until and unless you publish, those ideas will be perished, it will not be existent. So when you have some ideas, you try to publish those ideas. And when you get some ideas, research ideas, think well before you start working on that. And when you get ideas, I will say that always choose a topic. Suppose if you are writing or you are doing some research studies, always try to choose a topic which you like, right? Which you appreciate, which you enjoy. Otherwise, what will happen? Suppose if you talk about the job also, when you make your hobby a profession, the result, the outcome will be totally different. But when you are compelled to do anything, the result, the output will not be so. So what will be my suggestion, that always choose a topic or the study which you like, not for the need, and make a note of all the things which can improve your knowledge and skills. Suppose if I'm good at neurosciences or neuroanatomy, then what I will do, I will try to read more of the textbooks of some neuroanatomy. Not only the neuroanatomy, even we will try to explore neurosurgery, neurology, and we will go through the various articles of the neuroanatomy or the neurosurgery. We will try to see in those articles what are the recent trends are there, what are the limitations they have mentioned in those articles, and with those limitations we will try to generate the ideas that what next or what extra we can add the knowledge which are existing, right? So explore the subject and improve your thirst areas. Apart from that, what you can do, that you attend the conferences, right? You go through the proceedings of the different conferences and make sure that what happens, that usually people attend the conferences of their specialty. What I will suggest, that you don't attend the conferences of only your specialty, but suppose if you are attending the conferences of the ops and gynae, you can attend the conferences of the surgery, you can attend the conferences of the radiology, you can attend the conferences of the neurosurgery, go through the proceedings of these conferences. You will have ideas, you will get ideas, and you will come to know about the recent trends and applies when you will listen to the talks of the or the deliberations of in the conferences. You will come to know about the lacuna, and accordingly you can generate your research ideas, right? What I have seen, what I have noticed, that when people they attend the conferences, they don't listen to the deliberations, they don't listen to the talks, right? Once they will attend the conference, they will present their attendance and they will move to the city. We should avoid that, especially the younger people. You must attend as much as the deliberations, the talk, the research studies. You can listen, you listen to those deliberations, those talks, and try to get ideas from that, that what are the recent things going on in the present scenario. So coming to the ads, I said that research ideas can be anything, even the things which are going from the past. Suppose if you see this diagram over here, this picture, everyone knows, even in the past, before Newton also, people were knowing that, okay, the from the apple tree, the apple falls on the ground, right? But suppose if the Newton also would have thought in the same way that, okay, the apple falls on the ground, it is quite normal, then the things would have not changed. The acceleration due to gravity, or what we call the Newton's first law, second law, third law, would not have come, right? And accordingly, there could not have been so many inventions or the discoveries. So my suggestion, my view is that always try to think out of the box, right? Read the limitations mentioned in the article, how one can overcome or provide better solution to those problems. Like when we talk about the NASA, right? The space scientists, they go to the space, but there they had the problem in writing with the what you say, the pencils. Why? Because they cannot use pencil in the space, because of the you can say their life can be hazardous, because in the pencil there is a wood, they cut, they throw anywhere, or you say the graphite. So what the Fisher, they invented a special pen for them, so that they can use those pen in the space. So whenever there will be need, there will be invention, there will be discovery. So what I wanted to say, that always try to think out of the box, and then only you will be able to make a difference. But when I say that when you generate some research ideas, you should look after so many other things as well. Like suppose if I am posted in some PhD, then I cannot think about the world-class lab, research lab and all. So when I am posted in PhD, or when I am in a tertiary level institute, or when I am in a medical college, which is not where the infrastructure is not so rich, so we cannot think much. So whatever the infrastructure is available in your institution, in your lab, in your department, accordingly you think means what I wanted to say, the feasibility and the infrastructure is quite important to pursue your ideas, your vision, your research, right? Suppose if I think about the electron microscopy, and if in my department there is no electron microscope, so it will not be worth, right? Okay, so that is what I wanted to say, that while thinking, while generating research ideas, while generating the question for your study, you must think about your infrastructure and the feasibility, what you can pursue at your institute, or you can say in the department. So I would say always remember, right? If your research does not generate papers, right? Whatever ideas you have ideas, but when you don't publish, it is all waste, right? So that's what I said. If your research doesn't generate papers, it might just as well not have been done. Interesting and unpublished is equivalent to non-existent, right? So whenever you have research ideas, you work on that and you always try to publish your ideas. Then only, even maybe that when you try to publish, it may not be accepted, it may be rejected, but it doesn't matter. You keep trying. Until unless you try, you will never get success, right? So what is my intention, what is my suggestion, that whenever you have research ideas, work on that and try to publish on the paper, right? Try to publish in any of the journal, right? Not in the predatory journal, but you try to publish that. So realize that your objective in research is to formulate and test hypotheses, to draw conclusions from these tests, and to teach these conclusions to others. Your objective is not merely to collect the data, right? Whenever you are working on any study, you should think that it should add something new to the existing knowledge. It should not that simply you collect the data and you just publish. Then it will not be significant. It will not be really relevant. Whenever you do, whenever you work, whenever you study, try to explore something new and try to add something new which is not known to others, right? And or even some existing knowledge is there, you add on something on the existing knowledge, right? So that is, you must keep those things in your mind. Now, when you have ideas, now question arises, what to publish? So when you see the different journals, they publish some special issues also, right? Like when you see recent during this time, right? The world is suffering from this COVID-19 pandemic, right? So every journal is giving preference to the articles which are working those studies which are related to the COVID-19 in one way or the other way. So any journal, if you see right now, there the hot topic, the selection of, or you say the recent trend is about the COVID-19, be it anatomy, be it physiology, be it medicine, be it surgery, anywhere. So we should know about the recent trend, what is existing, and we should add on that. So you can see over here, this article I published in the Anatomical Sciences Education. I submitted this article on 29th of March, you say, right? And it got accepted on 31st of March. Why it is so? Can you believe that the journal whose impact factor is approximately 4, right, and which is indexed in all the indexing agencies, will accept an article within 2 days without much of the making means to me as an editor-in-chief, if you say, I will not accept any article without revision. I make it very clear, right? Not even a single article will be accepted without revision. There will be some lacuna and we should work on that. But why they give this preference to this article, right? Because it was concerned to the recent epidemic, the pandemic, you say, that is the COVID-19. And it was adding to the knowledge because the whole anatomist or the world was looking for this, how to manage this dead body, right? So because of that, only immediately they invited, they accepted, and they published. And by now, I think the 7 people have already cited. So what I wanted to say, that always try to see the journals, the different journals which are good, which are indexed, whose impact factor is good, and see what they are publishing, right? What is the trend right now? And what are the topics they are publishing? What are the topics they are preferring? So try to work on that. And you, from your side, you try to add in those subjects. Now, the question arises, how to publish? So, to publish any of the research ideas or the article or the manuscript, you will have to select a journal in which you have to submit, right? So selecting a journal, before that, I would like to give a brief idea about the life cycle of an article. So this slide, when you see over here, this slide shows the life cycle of an article. So whenever you write an article, you write a manuscript, you submit a manuscript to the journal whose aim and or scope of the journal, you go through the aim and scope of the journal, and accordingly you submit your manuscript to that journal. So once the author submits the manuscript, right, as soon as you submit, you get the acknowledgement of the submission of your manuscript. Then the role of the editorial board comes, right? As soon as you submit your manuscript, the technical screening will be done by the editorial board team members. Now, the technical screening, what they will look in your article during this technical screening. First of all, they will see that whether your article meets the aim and scope of the journal or not, right? The very first thing. Suppose if this journal is related to the human anatomy, right, we are not going to publish an article of the chemistry, right? You should keep these things in mind, because when our journal got indexed, even from the different specialties where this anatomy was not concerned, they wanted to send their manuscript for publication. So it is not feasible. So suppose if your manuscript, it doesn't meet the aims and the scope of the journal, automatically your journal will be screened at that level only and will be rejected. Apart from that, they will see the format. Suppose if you have written an original article, right, original research article, then they will see whether the proper format, IMRAD format is there, the title is there, the author affiliations are there, right? Your abstract is there in a proper format, right? There are journals which prefer the structured abstract. There are journals which do not prefer the structured abstract. Then they will see the keywords are there or not, introduction is well written or not, right? Then they will see the material and methods are well written, right? Then they will see about the results, the discussion. Accordingly, they will see the conclusion are there, limitations are there, then whether this manuscript needs acknowledgement, the references have been quoted properly, right? Because the different journals have the different ways of quoting the references, the citations. So all these things will be screened at by the editorial board member, and the technical screening will be done. And the very first thing, the most important thing at this level only will be the plagiarism check, right? So different journals, none of the journal will accept any article. I think I'm talking about at least the National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. We will not accept any article whose similarity index is more than 15%, right? So that is one of the prime criteria for sending any article for peer review, right? So if these criteria will be taken care by the editorial board members when you submit your article. Apart from that, they will go through your title page, right, the cover page, and everything will be placed. Then only it will be assigned to the editor-in-chief, and the editor-in-chief will send for the review. If it is not, these criteria are not being fulfilled, immediately your manuscript will be returned for the revision, right? Be it the plagiarism. Even I'm telling you, there were articles which we have sent more than 2, 3, 4 times to check their plagiarism report, right? Because and they were articles were good, but because of the plagiarism, they got so much annoyed that they withdrawn. But we cannot compromise, right? Plagiarism is a theft, and it is a criminal offense, you can say, right? So those things will be screened at the editorial board level. Then it will, suppose if it fulfills all the criteria, the editor-in-chief will send for the peer review, right, to the reviewers. And the editor-in-chief will see the concerned reviewer. Suppose If it is from the neuroanatomy, then they will prefer to send these articles to the particular expert only, those whose works is in neuroanatomy or something accordingly, right? If depending on the comments of the reviewers, right, it will be again sent for the revision, re-revision, until and unless it meets the standard of the journal. We will keep sending the manuscript for revision and re-revision, right? Once it fulfills the criteria or the standard of the journal, the author will be informed about the decision that your article has been accepted. If it doesn't fulfill, even after revision or re-revision, it will be rejected and it will be returned, right? And then once it is accepted, then editor-in-chief assigns the issue. It is not necessary that your article has been accepted, then it will be published in the next coming issue also. There also it depends on the availability of the pages, the trends, right? What we need to publish, what are the different types of articles are there already there in the issue, the previous issue what we have published, whether it is of the same kind. So there are so many criteria we look after while assigning a particular issue in that manuscript, accepted manuscript, right? So these are the life cycle, you can say, of the manuscript. I would like to discuss in details about the plagiarism. So this slide you can see over here, this slide is showing about the plagiarism report similarity index. This is one of the article which was submitted to our journal, right? And you can see the similarity index over here. All these colored, you can see the lines, these had been copies word to word, right? So while this screening committee, right, this editorial board, technical screening, we see this plagiarism report, and after getting the similarity index, we return that, right? So you can say the most important is the plagiarism. I said that plagiarism is a serious threat to the scientific publications, you can say, and it is described by the Office of Research Integrity. You say that it is theft or misappropriation of intellectual property, right? So I will always request and suggest that whenever you are writing a manuscript, try to write in your own words, right? Always try to write in your own words. If you write in your own words, right, there will be no harm. The meaning will remain same. Only what you can do, that you can change the wordings, right? Some questions are there, I guess. I will be taking the questions at the end of the session, right? Okay. So what I was talking that when you are writing a manuscript, don't try to copy from any journal or any this article, any website or any book. Suppose if you get some ideas from any article, any book or any website, try to paraphrase those, right? Suppose if I say that AIIMS Rishikesh is located in Uttarakhand state, right? So you can paraphrase this. If you write exactly the same, that AIIMS Rishikesh is located in Uttarakhand, then it will be the plagiarism, right? You can paraphrase like that in Uttarakhand state is one of the state of India, where one of the Institute of National Importance, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Rishikesh is located. So you can change that, right? So then it will not be a plagiarism, right? So what I wanted to say, the responsibility of the plagiarism is basically on the authors, right? And if the plagiarism is there, your article will definitely be rejected. There is no confusion at all, right? Apart from that, even this editorial board members take care of this plagiarism while before sending this manuscript to the reviewers, right? So what you should do before submitting the manuscript, what you do, that there are some tools available in the market, right? Like you have the Grammarly, you have DupliChecker, you have Copyscape, you have PlagScan. There are a few software which are paid, and there are few software which are free. But I would suggest that don't use the free software, right? Like when you check in the Google, what will happen, that even your own manuscript, what you have written, it will be captured and it will be showing that it is the plagiarism. There will be similarity index. So even when you are doing this, checking the similarity index, take precaution, right, that it should not be restored in their software. Otherwise, there will be also the plagiarism issue will be there, right? So you must, before submitting a manuscript, you must check for the plagiarism. That is my all concern, right? You can see over here, this was, there were articles which were submitted at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, in which the similarity index were at more than 87%. So you can imagine, right? So this, we must avoid the similarity index as soon as if you submit the manuscript to our journal, right? Now, at this, we have generated this slide which you can see over here. This is from our journal only, and we at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, we are using the software called as Turnitin, right? So this, via this Turnitin, we are checking for the plagiarism, and if it is more than 15%, we are sending back to the author to rewrite their manuscript in their own words, and so that the meanings will be same, but it should not be copy pasted, right? And for that, what they should take precaution that the longer sentences they can break into the smaller sentences. So that precaution they should take. This is the previous slide. You can see this is the plagiarism report of some of the article which was submitted at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. So at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, we follow the double blind peer review. Means even we don't, when we send the manuscript to the reviewer, we don't give any information to the reviewer, right? Be it the name, affiliations, even the institution's name are removed from the manuscript. It is preferred, it is advised that the authors themselves, they should remove these informations from the main body, the main, you say the manuscript. From that, there should be no information related to the author or the institution, right? So based on the reviewer's feedback, the articles will be accepted or it will be rejected, right? Suppose there will be contradiction in the two. Basically, for any article, we send this manuscript to two reviewers, right? If there is a contradictory statement between the two reviewers, then the editorial board members, the editor-in-chief, take a call, and then accordingly the editor-in-chief decides the fate of the article, whether it has substance, it should be accepted or not, right? Otherwise, we follow the recommendations of the reviewers because they are the concerned specialty of that particular area. So we give full respect and regard for the comments of the reviewers, right? And accordingly, we do the needful. Now, I said that on the recommendations of the reviewers, the articles, the manuscripts gets rejected. Now the question arises, why they reject? I have already mentioned that during the technical screening, we look after so many things, right? Like I said that if it doesn't comes under the aims and scope of the journal. Apart from that, the language is very poor, the English is not satisfactory. In those circumstances, suppose the research ideas is good, it is helping, it is adding to the knowledge of the existing knowledge, right? And the research ideas is good, it is something you can say new or novel, but the literature or the language is very poor, the English is very poor, the grammarly mistakes are there. So we have the expert also, right? The language expert also, which every journal usually they have. They take charges and they do all the grammatical mistake, the corrections in the language, you say whatever the best means, you say the medical scientist experts are there for just to take care of the grammar mistake or the spelling mistake or the poor English language. They don't change the idea, they don't change the theme of the manuscript or the article or the study. They don't change anything, only they improve the language. And for that, the various journals, they gave some charges to the expert. But what we are doing, we don't entertain ourselves, the journal or the editorial board, they don't take care of those things. What we do at National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, suppose if any manuscript is poorly written, whose language is not proper, or the English is not proper, spelling mistakes are there, grammatical mistakes are there. So we give recommendation to of some of the experts. If they agree to send their expert, we will recommend those articles to the expert. Now the expert will communicate with the authors and they will communicate to each other. We don't intervene in that. Whatever the remuneration the expert wants, right, depending on the matter or the material, the authors themselves, they will pay to the expert. We don't come in between that. We only communicate between them, right? So the authors, they can, what I wanted to say, that in any journal, if they wish to submit and their language is not good, they can take help of the language expert. And all the good journals, they provide the help related to this, right? Apart from that, those articles also gets rejected which don't follow the author instructions. I have seen that many of the manuscripts, they don't even go through the author's instructions, right? This is a blunder. When you are submitting in any of the journal, you must go through the instruction to authors of that particular journal, right? Because every journal will have different pattern, right? Every journal, the author of instructions will vary, right? So when even in, suppose in one journal it has been rejected, when you are planning to submit in another journal, you must go through the author to instructions of that particular journal, and accordingly you must modify your manuscript, because they are getting hundreds of articles, right? The good journal, the peer reviewed or the index journal, when you talk about, they are getting hundreds of the manuscripts around the globe. So they will not have time to look after all those things. Once they will see that they have not followed the instructions authors, immediately they will reject. So better to take precaution, and before submitting, you must modify your manuscript according to the instructions of authors of that particular journal. Then apart from that, if your figures are not clear, right? Even the different journals, in the author to instructions, they will clearly mention that, okay, in our journal, if you are submitting any figure, it should be TIFF or it should be JPEG. What should be the DPI? It should not be less than 300 DPI. So you should follow all those things as per the instruction to authors, right? Or the article is incomplete, poor resolution, figures are there, right? It is incomprehensible. Or apart from that, when you see these references, your references in the manuscript should be within 8 to 10 years maximum, right? It should not that since 1947 you have quoted, which is not relevant at present, right? Like when I talk about my article recently, which got published in the Anatomical Sciences Education, Dead Body Management. When I published, I said that the mode of transmission is fomites also. But when you publish, this fomites is not a mode of transmission for COVID-19. So if you follow those references or those things, if you quote at present, the reviewer will reject your article. So you must, what I wanted to say, that your references should be latest, it should be up to date, right? And preferably it should be within 8 to 10 years. Apart from that, it has been observed, right, during thesis writing, I have seen that in some of the places, they just do what you say in Hindi, khana purti, right? They don't do any study, they manipulate the data, their data will be the fabricated, they will not analyze the data properly. So when they screen, right, either you talk at the level of the reviewers or the editorial board members, they can easily make out that your data is fabricated, right? Analyze the data properly. So in those cases also, your article, your manuscript will be rejected. Or apart from that, when the similar article already has been published, right? Or it is the extension of your previous published work, right? And you have just modified some of the data from your previous work, right? So in that condition also, your article, your manuscript may be rejected because it is not adding anything new to the existing knowledge, right? Apart from that, when your discussion is not correlating with the results, right? So when you have written the introduction, in the introduction, you have raised one question, right? That you are going to cover this question, and your results and discussion is different from the question which you have raised in the introduction, then also it will lead to the rejection of your manuscript, right? Apart from that, when you see your conclusion of the what you have mentioned in the manuscript, so conclusion, if it is not justified, which is or it is not based on your results or the discussion, or you say it is boring, then also it will be rejected. Boring, it means what I wanted to say, the question which was behind your work is not of much interest, right? Like when you talk about, right now we are discussing about the COVID-19, and you discuss about the MERS, that is middle respiratory syndrome, then it will why the editor or why the journal will prefer to those works which is not relevant at present, right? So under those circumstances also your article or your manuscript may be rejected, right? So if there is lack of novelty or anything new is not being added to the existing knowledge, it might lead to rejection of the your article. This photograph I have shared in all the clinical anatomist group. I have not created this image, but just wanted to bring this to your mind, right? When we submit a manuscript, we feel so relaxed and so happy as such that tomorrow only our article will get accepted. I have seen once people, they submit their manuscript, right? Within a week, they will start calling me, will start sending me a message that what is the status? Can you give me the acceptance letter? Right, I have submitted the article. This is next to impossible until and unless your article is accepted by the reviewer, right? It fulfills all the criteria. None of the editor-in-chief, right, is going to issue an acceptance letter. If you are thinking you are trying to fool yourself and you are trying to cheat me, not only me, none of the editor-in-chief will do this. If they do this, all the indexing agencies, right, they will keep scrutiny. We are always under scrutiny. You understand the fact. So people who expect that only mere submission of the article will lead to the acceptance of the letter, we cannot do that. Otherwise, not only it may be beneficial for you for the time being, but it will lead to the disaster for others, for so many anatomists around the globe, you can say, right? No one should do this, and at least we will never encourage those things, right? Now let me tell you one thing what I wanted to say with this image. I submitted one of my manuscript in 2010, right? In the early 2010. My article was published in the late 2012. Got it? So almost 3 years it took. The British Medical Journal, which is published in Czech Republic, it took 3 years to publish that. That was the impact factor was good, PubMed index, but it took 3 years. So what is my suggestion over here, that when you submit your manuscript, don't expect that immediately your article will be accepted, right? And you can track your manuscript on the portal, right? The status will be there on the manuscript. What is, where it is, whether it is with the reviewers, under review, and what is going on. So everything will be displayed on the portal, right? So what I wanted to say, that whenever you are writing or whenever your ideas comes to your mind, plan before, right? And whenever what I wanted to say over here, that when idea comes, right, before writing or before conducting any study, you see all the feasibility. You plan that you need, what are the departments you want to include in your study, right? Whether it is related to the surgery. Suppose if I am working on radiation-induced nuclear changes in oral carcinoma patients, so I need the patients from the radiotherapy department. So I need a partner, a co-author from the radiation oncology, right? I need a people from for analysis of the data. We need to communicate with the biostatisticians, right? So all these things you plan ahead, right? And for any when you think about the output. The planning is utmost important. When you plan properly, you will be able to execute properly. And when your planning and execution is proper, output will definitely be a proper or the good, you can say, right? So don't underestimate how hard it is or how long it takes to write a good paper. Take time, right? But plan before, and according to your plan, you go ahead, right? So anything, not only writing a manuscript, anything, you must plan before, and then accordingly your plan, execute yourself, right? And then don't worry about the result. When your planning and execution is good, the result will be definitely good. Maybe not sooner, later it will be there, right? Okay, now when planning, the three simple things you should keep in your mind, right? So that you can write the manuscript which is legible or which is acceptable, right? So how you are going to plan? While planning, you keep these three things in mind, right? Whether your article which you are going to write has a clear or useful message, right? Whether it is easy to read, means the language which you will be using should not be very complicated, because there will be readers, until if it is too much complicated, purpose of your ideas or your publishing the article will be in vain, right? So your article should have clear and useful message. It should be easy to read, and it should add something new to the existing knowledge, right? Apart from that, it should be more logical and it should be relevant, right? So these three things you should mind before proceeding further, right? Before writing or while preparing a manuscript. There are different types of manuscript. Like we have original articles, we have systematic reviews, meta-analysis, case reports, we have case series, we have letter to editor, we have short communications, right? We accept all these articles in our journal also, but majority of the articles we receive are original articles. And because the audience, we are basically concerned about the UGs, PGs, and the younger faculty, I will be talking today about the original articles. Maybe in another sessions, we will invite some other speakers, and accordingly, we will have another sessions related to these academic events, right? So today, my concern will be related to the original articles. So when we talk about the original articles, what are the structures of an original article? When you talk about this original article, right, these are the structures of the original articles. When you see over here, right, this is the title. There will be a title, I said. Then we have the abstract. There will be 3 to 8 keywords of a manuscript, right? Then we'll have introduction, material and methods, right? Results, discussion, conclusion. If you want to acknowledge somebody who has helped in your study, you must acknowledge, right? Like recently, we have included all the international editors globally. They have published an articles and came to an opinion that whenever we include any cadaver in the study, right, research study, we must acknowledge the cadaver also, because of whom we conducted our study, and their relatives of the cadaver. We must acknowledge that. So not only cadaver, even the different departments or the statisticians, whoever has contributed in your study, you must acknowledge, right? And then the references. So all these are different, the structures of the original article. Now, while preparing a manuscript, right, how you should go? What is my personal opinion? That first of all, when you have conducted your study, right, you start with the table and figure, right? You collect all the data, prepare the tables and figures, right? And then you write your results, right? After writing the results, you write the material and methods, whatever the interventions or the procedures you have incorporated, right? Whatever the agents or the materials you have included in the study that you mention, like the sample size, the participants, the inclusion and the exclusion criteria, right? The informed consent, whether you have taken the ethical, institutional ethical approval, all these things you mention in the material methods. I'll come discuss one by one in detail. Then after writing material method, you write the discussion. After writing discussion, you write the conclusion. And then after writing this conclusion, you write at the end, in the last, you write introduction. And after you have finished all these things, you write abstract, and then you write the title, right? After writing the keywords, right? So these things, as per me, you should take care. First, again, I repeat, first you draw the tables and the figures, whatever you want, you have used in the study, right? You want to put in the article, right? Then the results, material methods, then discussion, then you write the conclusion, and then the introduction, and at the end, you write the abstract and the title. Now, when we talk about the tables and the figures, right? Now, while drawing these tables, which you have used, means during the study, whatever the data you have collected, right, which you want to present in your study, in the manuscript, in the article, right, design the table, right, and add labels and the numericals. Now, what you should do, that why it is so important, because when you talk about tables and figures, as per me, I feel that it's play a very key role, right, in improving the manuscript, right? Because as you know, that when we teach the MBBS students or the MD students, we say that draw the diagrams properly, right? Because no examiner will have time to go through the story, go through the text. If you draw the diagram properly, right, the examiner will understand that, okay, what you have written in the text, right? So what I say, that your tables and figures will play a key role in improving your manuscript, right? Save time and space when representing the numerical data, and it will significantly reduce the length of the paper. And you will provide the editors, reviewers, and readers quick view of your findings of the study. So when you design the table, right, don't copy, right? Don't copy or the legible fonts, okay? You design the table, add labels and numericals you can fit, right? And always insert, do not copy what I said over here, and avoid 3D effects, right? And unify decimal places, right? You can see over here, it should be, the uniformity should be maintained, right? Not, you can see over here, this is not in a proper way, right? This will, when the editor or the reviewer will see such kind of the tables, right, it will not give a good impact, right? And it may increase the chances of rejection of your manuscript, right? So first design the table properly, and then you add labels and the numericals in that, right? Okay, now the question arises, when to use table, when to use figure, and when you use you are supposed to use the text, right? So when you have many and precise numerical values, too long details, right? In that condition, you need to have tables, right? When you don't have too many datas, right? You just want to show the trends, the patterns, right? And sets when the general pattern is more important than the exact data values, then in that condition, you should use the figure, right? And when the data is too small, when you don't have extensive or complicated data, better you mention as a text, right? I'll show you in the diagrams in the coming slides, right? And again, when you should use the table, when you need to compare and contrast the data values, right? In that condition, it is preferred that you use table, right? When you have to summarize research results, then you should use figure like graphs, data plots, maps, or the pie charts. Then in that condition, you should use figure, right? So in the next slide, you can see over here, this is the data over here. When you mention in the text, do you think the reviewer or the editor is going to read so much, or the readers? They will not have, they will get confused while going through these numericals or the details. But the same thing, same data, if you present in a table, anyone can easily make out. So that makes the difference. So anyone easily, seeing this table, anyone can make out that, okay, surgical procedures were 183 in number, right? The number of patients were 161. So all these things in the table, you can easily make out. So that will increase the chances of acceptance, right? So reviewers want that, okay, the numerous data were there, but you have compiled a table, and anyone can, just by seeing the table, can are there of your studies, right? Similarly, when you see over here in this slide, right, it depends that when to use and what to use. If you see the figures, the lesions over here, the lesions are too descriptive over here, right? So when you mention the lesions in the figure, it should be short and crisp, right? And what going to the same thing should be there, what you have mentioned in the text, right? It should reflect over here. But when you are mentioning the legends, it should not be a descriptive. It should be very short, but it should be crisp. By going through the legends, reader or the reviewer editor should easily make out that what is all about this figure, right? So whatever abbreviations you are using over here, right, you explain and expand those abbreviations or the symbols right at the bottom. So not that you have used abbreviations and you assume that people must be knowing, right? I will be talking in the next slides that when to use abbreviations. When any abbreviations which we are not using more than 5 times in the manuscript, better I will suggest not to use those abbreviations or the acronyms, right? You write complete word. No need to use the abbreviated form. If it is more than 5, you use these abbreviations, right? So values should correlate that described in the text. We have observed that the figures are there, but it is nowhere mentioned in the text, and there is no correlation of the figures with the manuscript, which is mentioned in the as a text, right? So we must avoid those things. Now, now when we see over here in this slide, you can see that excessive use of the tables is also not preferred and is not advisable, right? In most of the journals, you will find that even the numbers of tables are limited, right? Like in our journal, we don't advise to use more than 5 tables or 5 figures usually. But if it is needed, you can use. But we don't advise that you should have too many figures or too many tables. Like this, there is no need of this table. This can be explained better in the text. Like when you see over here, patients were divided in 4 age groups. 20 to 19 were 6, 20 to 39 age groups were 6. In the age group of 40 to 59, there were 11. In the age group of 60 to 79, there were 6 in number. Similarly, so in those conditions, don't think that using too many tables or figures is very good and the paper will be accepted. That is also not good idea, right? It should be judiciously used. Okay, now coming to the results. So when we talk about the results, right, results section, it mirrors the material and methods, you say, right? Whatever things are there in the material methods, right? What are the procedures you have used, right? What are the interventions were there? The same things, all these things, that there should be, for every intervention, for every procedure, there will be a result, right? So what I wanted to say, that results section mirrors the materials and the methods, and for every step, or you say the procedure or the intervention performed, there would be a result, and your result should answer the question what is what you have done. And result should always written in the past tense, because already you have finished your work, right? So it should be written in the past tense, and must answer the questions, right, raised in the introduction. So at the end of the introduction, in the end, there will be a question which you are going to study. So the result must answer the questions raised in the introduction, and it should be the consequence of the methods, the methodology, what you have described in the material and methods, right? It should be very legible and only relevant, right? Don't include those which you are not going to discuss in the discussion, right? So these things you should take precaution while drafting the result, right? Avoid starting sentences with numbers. You can see over here, of 195 patients screened, 83. Avoid like this. And should not be duplication. The tables and the figures, right? The same thing you mentioned in the results, same you mentioned in the discussion. There should be no repetitions, right? Use number headings and subheadings if it is long, right? And cross-check twice numbers in the text, match with the table and abstract too. Not that in the text the numbers are different and in the abstract the numbers are different. So in that condition also the reviewers or the editorial board, the editors will reject your manuscript, right? So what if you see over here, there is a website www.equator-network.org. Here you can see the different guidelines of reporting, right? Like we have the consort, that is the consolidated standards of reporting trials, consort, or this is done for the randomized control trials. And then we have the strobe, like strengthening the reporting of observational studies in epidemiology for the observational studies. Similarly, we have the PRISMA for the systemic reviews, you can say, that is the preferred reporting items for systematic reviews. So when you are putting in the results, so there are guidelines given. You can go through in details about the guidelines, how you should report in the result, right? The what kind of, suppose it is observational studies, then you should go through this, you say this consort, and if it is epidemiological studies, then you should go through this strobe, right? So accordingly, if it is systematic review or the meta-analysis, then you can go through the guidelines as mentioned in the PRISMA. So you should follow the guidelines. Now coming to the methods. When we talk about the methods, right, it is a link between the introduction and the result, you can say, right? Whatever the methods, if you see, I said in the result, you have answered those questions which you have mentioned in the introduction, right? And in the methodology or the material methods, you say you have mentioned about those procedures, how you have done, right? So this is the link between the introduction and the result section. Well, while writing these methods, you must take care, the precaution that you should write in the past tense, right? And whatever you should mention about the study design, what kind of the study you have done, that is the type studies, type of the study, whether it is prospective, whether it is retrospective, it is observational. So the type of the study you should mention. Apart from that, you should mention about the time period, the duration, whether you have studied this in the 2 years of the duration, right? The number of participants, how many participants were there, what are the inclusion and the exclusion criteria were there. Suppose I have studied on the topic that radiation-induced nuclear changes in oral carcinoma patients, right? So we will take only those patients. What I have said, that radiation-induced nuclear changes means I will take only those patients who are going for the radiotherapy. I will not take those patients who have been treated by the surgical method or the chemotherapy, because it is radiation induced. So you should define clearly that what are the inclusion criteria are there, what are the exclusion criteria are there, right? Apart from that, you must get, suppose if you have involved any human being or the patients, right, or the animals, anything related to that, you must get approval from your institute. Every journal will require the institutional ethical approval, right? So you must mention about that. And suppose if you are involving any patients or anything like that, right? Even any students, any individual in your study, right? You must get the consent of the individual. So informed consent is must, right? You should define the protocol of the study, how you have collected the data, right? What is the sample size, right? And the sample size calculation is very important. You must do it with the help of the statistician, right? What is the so even if the sample size, right, is not correct, the result will have a different value and it will not be considered, right? And how you have analyzed your data, that is also important. Like which test you have used, whether you have used the chi-square test, in which condition we use the student test, or what is the ANOVA test. So all these things, if you are not aware of this, better you take the help of the statistician, right? So your method should answer the following questions, like who, what means who, that signify the population, the study population, right? How, that is the study design, how you have studied, right? Why you have studied, that is the outcomes you are expecting from the study, right? And then what means what you are going to do with the data, that is about the how you will plan your analysis. So all these things you will continue in the, and you will take care while describing the material and methods. Then do not include methods which do not yield the results, right? You should be very transparent and feasible. If you when you are mentioning in the manuscript, right, where if it is your methodology, right, which you have done something new, then you give complete description of the methodology. Why it is so? Because it should be reproducible, right? If anyone else would like to continue or would like to add something new in your study, right, it should be replicable, right? So you should describe the methodology in details, but the methodology you have taken from some other research studies, then in spite of describing in detail, right, better what you do, that you quote the reference, right? And there is no need of detailed description of the procedure, the methodology, right? Because it has already been described by some other author. So you just quote, you cite that reference. Now, when you come about the discussion, I would say this is the area, this is the section where you can shine, right? Very important. Discussion is one of the most important, you can say, and very difficult also, quite difficult. Nothing to worry, but when you follow the protocols, it will be very easy, right? So what I wanted to say, the discussion is the area where you will be able to show your depth, right? The knowledge of the depth, how much study you have done, how many literature you have reviewed in the past, all those things, right? So this section provides, you can say, the interpretation of the results and describes them in the context which is available at present, means I mean to say the evidence, right? And while drafting, while scribbling, while writing this discussion, what precaution you take, that the first paragraph when you are writing, you try to summarize the main results, what you have found, right, in your study. So in the first paragraph, you describe about the results, right? Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. So what I wanted to say, that in the first paragraph, you describe about what results you have got, what are the findings you have come across, right? And after that, in the subsequent paragraphs, what you should do, that you should review the results in the context of the whatever the literature available, right? And elaborate whatever the similarities you find in the previous literature, and what are the differences you found in comparison to the literature which was available from the past. What I said, that when you are quoting the literatures, right, it should be within 8 to 10 years of right, if it is available, right? Prefer that, right? So you must describe in detail about the similarities and the differences are there, right? So do not repeat the results and do not discuss what is not told in the methods or the results. Don't make assumptions, right, which result cannot support. Very clear. This is evidence-based, right? This is science. This is not storytelling, so don't make any assumptions. That is very clear. You should take precautions, right? You should see that whether your result is relevant. How you will know it is relevant? If it is answer the following questions, right? Whatever you have raised in the introduction, right? With the aim you have started your study, it should discuss that, right? So results should be relevant, right? And it should be compared with other studies. If not, right, why? There may be reason. One of the reason you can say there may be possible mechanism for the difference, right? And when you are finishing your discussion, right, you finish your discussion with the mentioning of you mentioned about the limitations of the study. Very important it is, right? So whatever the limitations were there in the study, you must mention about the limitations, right? Be it the infrastructure, be it the number of patients, the sample size, whatever it is there, right? So you must mention the limitations I wanted to say, right? And then you conclude, right? While writing this, try to use short phrases of 30 to 35, and the transitional words should be there, like therefore, in contrast to, or you can say however, those, hence, and avoid the words like we believe this study results to be true. There is no need to believe, right? What I said, this is not storytelling, this is evidence-based, right? So the fact should be there. We should not believe over here, right? So that's what, avoid telling further studies needed without explaining why, right? Suppose if I say that in my study that at the 4 gray of dose, right, we can decide that whether the patients are radio resistant or sensitive, right? So further study is needed. So when I'm explaining that why it is so, because at the 4 gray of dose only, right, the patients either they respond or they do not respond. Whether if they do not respond, it means they are radiosensitive, right? If they are responding, it means it is the radiosensitive, right? There may be 2 cases. Either it is radio resistance or it is radiosensitive, right? If it is radio resistance, then there is no need of further giving the radiotherapy. So at that time only we can change the line of treatment, right? So in spite of using we believe this study results to be true, we show by our analysis that this study is consistent with empirical evidence, right? You need to give the evidence. Like what I was talking about, the limitations, it is very mandatory. If there are limitations, I would suggest you that you must mention the limitations, right? So there are some limitations of our study that deserve note, right? We were underpowered, not addressed for the potential risk factors, like for a single center also limit the generalizability. Despite this, all those things you must mention whatever the limitations are there. While performing the conclusion, I'll say conclude finally, because this is the it should not be more than 2-3 lines, right? Well, when you are concluding your statement, your study, right? So use present tense while concluding, right? It should be directly related to the research question. It should be based on the results, study results, right? And convey the impact of the findings. Even if it is negative, you must conclude, right? It's not necessary that always your study will be significant, right? Or always you will have the positive result, right? Even if you find anything negative, you must mention in the conclusion, right? And while writing conclusion, while mentioning that, don't copy the abstract, right? It should not be similar, right? And while mentioning, you should encourage the further study, right? So those precautions you should take while drafting the conclusion, while writing the conclusion. Now coming to the introduction, right? Very important, very, very important. Why it is so? Because this is the section which will set the tone of the manuscript, right? So the introduction should be focused, right? And it should provide the relevant background for the study with appropriate references. There should be not too many references, and not that all whatever knowledge you have, you just put it in the introduction. No, it should not be like that, right? So I said that introduction is very important because it sets the tone of the manuscript. Remember this, right? So, and this is the section which establishes the context of the work, right? So this should include the question at the end. What I said, that initially you describe about the background, the literatures, right? Use the appropriate references, right? At the end, you must use the question which you are going to study in the introduction, right? Like what is known, what is not known. So whatever the literatures are available, you describe about that what is known till now, right? And then you discuss what is not known, right? And because of that, what are the objectives, what are the aims of your studies, why you want to do this study, right? And how it is going to be answered. These questions should be answered in your introduction section, right? While drafting this introduction, use short phrases, preferably 30 to 35 words, right at the end between discussion and the abstract. So when you finish the discussion, right, and then you start writing the introduction, right? And then you write the abstract. So the introduction should be written between the discussion and the abstract, right? The different authors may have different opinion, right? The different editors or the different reviewers may have different opinion. But what I feel that when you complete everything, right, you have complete idea. Then when you focus on the introduction, you will write a better introduction, right? And when you are writing abbreviation, when you are using abbreviations, right, only use those abbreviations, right, which are acclaimed globally, right? Don't that you create your own abbreviations, right? And as I said, that when you are using abbreviations, if it is less than 5 times, don't use abbreviations. Write the whole complete thing, right? Don't use abbreviations or the acronym. Use only when you are using in the manuscript more than 5-10 times, right? Like, and I said that it should be widely, globally accepted. Those abbreviations you should use, right? And when you are using, suppose if it is more than 5 times, when you are using, first time you write the complete thing and then you start using the abbreviations. Not that from the beginning only thinking that everyone knows this abbreviation, right? So MSc is there, Master of Science. So you don't assume that everyone knows this MSc means Master of Science, right? So those things should be taken care. You must follow the author guidelines every time. Be it abstract, be it introduction. I would request that for the appropriate length, you must follow the author's instructions, right? It should not be too lengthy. So avoid too many references. I said self-citations should not be very much promoted, right? It should be avoided. Why it is so? Because when you self-cite, the reviewers or the editors might think that this is the extension of the previous work, right? And self-citations are not very much appreciated also, right? So, and you try to don't try to copy the things what you have mentioned in the results discussion and the conclusion, right? So avoid copying those, right? And avoid using this first ever or the novel, right? Until and unless it is absolutely true. Why it is so? Because when you have mentioned this study is first ever or this study is novel, and the reviewers or the editors, they are expert of that field. They must be knowing, right? What are the trends are there? What are the literatures are available related to this study? So once they come to know that you have written false, right, or it is not true, then it will not work in favor of you, but it will be very negative for you. So you must avoid this using first ever or the novel until unless it is very true, right? So ideally it should be written like this, go from the global level, right? Whatever the literatures are available, and then finally you come at the end of the introduction, the question, right? Like the aim of this monocentric retrospective cohort study was to assess the epidemiology of surgical procedure and their complications in the liver transplant recipient population to enhance their medical care. So this is the questions which they have studied, right? So that should be at the end, after reviewing all the literatures, the background, whatever they have mentioned. Now, the references, very important. Why the reference is important? Because the most of the errors we find in the references, right? The different journals use different mode of quoting the references. There may be Vancouver's style, there may be Harvard, there may be APA. So the different journals, they use the different style, right? And there some they use like in the alphabetical order, some they use like in the chronological order, the year wise. So try to go through the author's instructions, what they need. Accordingly, you should mention the references. Accordingly, you should cite. Some they need the numerics as superscript. Some they need the author's name and the year. So it depends on the journals. So before quoting, right, you must have gone through the authors to the instruction in which you are planning to publish. So accordingly, you try to quote the references and start making note of them simultaneously, right? And this section, I said that it contains more of the mistakes. So at the technical screening only, we send the manuscript back to the authors to correct the references, the order of references, the citations, the way they have quote, how to quote from the article, how to quote from the book. This will be taken care by the Dr. Viveka, who will be talking on the reference manager. So I will be not going into the depth of this, right? So what only I will suggest that it should be 15 to 20 references minimum, right? Minimum, it should be 15 to 20 references in an original article, not less than that, right? And don't try to copy from another articles, right? Suppose if one article you are referring, citing, and from the same article you just copy all the references and you put it that also we have noticed. So avoid doing that. The reviewers will find it out, right? And once they find it out, all these things, it will be negative for you. Now coming to the title, right? Very important, very, very important. Why it is so important? Because when you see, right, when you cook rice, right, you don't take the whole of the rice, that whether it is cooked or not. You take 1 spoon of the rice and then you see that it is cooked, right, properly or not. Similarly, your title, right? The title gives the first impression of your manuscript, and the first impression is the last impression, you can say, right? The study says that people take only 2 seconds to read the title, and if the title is impressive, people is going to read your abstract, right? And so on. And if your abstract is good, the people will read your the study, the article, be it the reviewer, be it the editor, be it the reader, right? So what I said, that differentiates your manuscript from the other on the same topic which has been written over here. What is this? So what I was talking, that when you are writing the title, it should be very simple and the brief. It should be informative and catchy, and avoid abbreviations, using abbreviations in the title. Don't use abbreviations in the title, right? And include study population, condition, and the study design. Why title is important? Because whenever people search for any article, right, they put the keywords in the Google or anywhere in the searching engine agencies, right? So they will put the keywords, and on the basis of that only the articles will come, and they will go through those articles, or they will cite those articles, right? So it is very important to have the important keywords in your this title, which reflects your study. Now coming to the abstract. When we see abstract, I said the same thing. The abstract, the very first thing after topic, the title, the reader, the reviewer, or the editor will go through your abstract, and the abstract will decide a lot of things, or decide the fate of your article, right? Now, when we see this abstract, I said it is the standing alone part of the manuscript, which gives a brief overview of your study or the contents that may influence or may impress the editors or the peer reviewers and the readers regarding the quality of the manuscript. So This is the key factor which attracts or which impresses the editors or the reviewers. So when writing this abstract, you should cross-check twice, right? Whether numbers in the abstract matches with those mentioned in the text, like results or the tables, and you must follow the author's guidelines. Now coming to the cover letter, right? This is cover letter will provide a big opportunity to you to directly interact with the editor-in-chief, right? So when you when you are preparing this cover letter, right, it should describe the main objective, right? What is the rationale of your study, means why it is done, what is the novelty, what is the new things you have added in your study, right? The main objective means what has been done in your study, what you have done, right? What is the relevance, that is why you believe your work is within the scope of the journal. Everything you should mention in the cover letter, that should be in a very concise, honest, professional, and in a polite way, right? Which will automatically strongly influence the editor regarding your manuscript or the article. What next? Done with the preparation. Now the selection of the journal. There are different factors on the basis of that you will be selecting the journal, right? Like the journal, suppose if you have studied, your study is related to the developmental anatomy, right? You can think about the developmental dynamics. This is one of the journal, right? When your study is related to the gross anatomy or the clinical anatomy or anything related to that, you will prefer the National Journal of Clinical Anatomy or Clinical Anatomy accordingly. So it should match the aims and scope of the journal, right? Then apart from that, you will also see whether the journal is indexed or not, right? The indexing is also important because most of us, we are writing for the promotion. If it is not indexed, then why we will publish in those journals or the predatory journals? There is no need. Our study will be waste, right? Apart from that, the impact factor is also important, right? Any journal has the impact factor, that how many articles which they have published in the year has been cited, right? So it depends on that. Please unmute yourself. Now, apart from that, the publication charges is also important. When you send your articles to the foreign journals, there the publication charges are $2,000. Means $1,000, $1,500 US. So we are from the developing country. We cannot afford that much publication charges, right? So that is also should be one of the criteria before sending the journal. And then the article history. When you see this any article, you can go through the article of those journal and you will find the history, that when the article was received, when it was revised, when it was accepted, and when it was published. Because I said, when you need your publication at the earliest, you need for the promotion, right? Like when I sent in the British Medical Journal, I sent in 2010 and it published in December 2012. So 3 years. Then sending in both kind of journals will not serve my purpose. Till then, my promotion will not be, means it will not be done. So you should think about all those things, and accordingly, you should select the journal, right? Now preparing the title page. So any journal, for suppose if you are sending to any journal, the title page will have the different formats, right? Every journal will have different formats. So since I'm editor-in-chief of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, I'll discuss about the title page of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. In the title page, you should mention about the type of the manuscript, whether it is original article, whether it is case report, it is the review article, it is letter to editor. Those things you should mention the very first, right? Then you should write the title of the manuscript, right? And then in a very short and crisp, more than within 35 to 45 letters, there should be a running title, right? Which will be in each page of the your article, right? And then there should be the affiliations of the authors, and the degree should be mentioned, right? All these things. And then there should be mention about the corresponding author, the name of the corresponding author and the address, so that the email and all details, so that the reviewer, the editors can communicate with the corresponding author. Not only the editors, even the readers, if they want to know something new, they can communicate to the corresponding author. So details is mandatory, right? Now, apart from that, the number of pages should be mentioned, the how many tables are there, how many figures are there, right? And like in other journal, it is not mandatory to mention the membership number, life membership of society. But in our journal, we have made it mandatory to mention the membership number, right? So all these things should be mentioned in the title page. Now, before sending, you should recheck. Don't expect your editors or reviewers, right, to correct your manuscript for spelling mistake or the grammar mistake, or to write the number of figures or the tables or the legends, right? Before sending, you read twice, replace all the acronyms, right, and take all these precautions, right? You should not give any chance, I mean to say, to the editorial board members or the reviewers to reject your manuscript, right? Now, there are 8 reasons. This has been written by this Elizabeth Zoff, one of the editor, right, which was published in 15 January 2013, right? And he had mentioned 8 reasons I accepted your article. And those reasons, if you see why they accept the articles, he has those articles only will be accepted which gives insight into the important topic. The very first thing, the insight into the important topic. Then apart from that, that insight is useful for the people who make decision, who make some policies, right? So that is the another factor. The third factor, that insight is used to develop a framework or theory, either in new theory or it should add to the existing theory. Apart from that, that insight should stimulate something new, some important new questions. It should generate some new important question so that further studies can be done. And then the methods which were used to explore, like the data collection or the data analysis, all this should be appropriate, right? Then apart from that, the methods used, whether the methods which have been used were applied rigorously and explain why and how the data support the conclusion, all these things should be taken care, right? Then apart from that, the connection to the prior work in the field or from the fields are made and served to make the articles augment clear. And apart from that, the article should tell a good story, right? It should be readable. People should enjoy, people should take interest in reading. Only people will take interest when it is well written, when it is easy to understand, when it is the arguments are the logical and not itself the contradictory in the internally. You can say that the question which was read in introduction is different, the discussion was different, and the results are different. Then people will say, people will be less bothered to read those script, the article, right? Now, this is the new trend. Every journal has started asking this social media, you say the ID. Why it is so? Just to follow up and to increase the visibility, right? When you, even we have started asking this, the ID of the Twitter and the Facebook, so that whatever the articles we publish in our journal, right, we can put it on our social media and people should know what are the studies are being conducted, what are the new trends, so that they can study those articles and they can cite, they can use, and they can generate new ideas with those articles. There may be chances, right, when your article will be rejected, but don't worry, right? Even the Nobel laureates, like you can see over here, right? The Nature rejects Krebs paper in 1937, right? The Brendan Borrell, who is a Nobel laureate, whose article was rejected, right? So what to do when your paper is rejected, right? Rework on that, right? Go through the reviewer comments, whatever the reviewer comments have been given, work on that, right? And then accordingly you plan another journal, right? Look for the another journal, right? Where you find that your chances of publication is more. So never be disheartened, never get disheartened if the articles gets rejected. Ours also gets rejected. It is quite natural, right? So don't always think that your articles will be accepted. So the take-home message of this webinar is write an article, and write such an article manuscript which is in logical manner. It should have a clear and useful message. This article, your article, should be easy to read, right? And it must follow the author guidelines, the most important, right? When you are submitting, you must follow the author guidelines, right? And your abstract, title, cover letter, introductions will be the key factors in acceptance of your manuscript, right? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening so patiently. Hand it over to the next.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I said aptly dynamic editor. Kudos to your energy. That was an extensive and mind-blowing session. Thank you so much. So in the next session, we have a talk on reference manager. For this session, we have our guest speaker, Dr. Viveka, who is a very critical and rational reviewer of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy. I would like Dr. Apurva Patra, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Bathinda, also Assistant Editor of National Journal of Clinical Anatomy, to introduce Dr. Viveka. Over to you, Dr. Apurva.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, Apurva, you can continue.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, sir, for your such a nice and elaborate speech.
Just please mute.
And am I audible?
Yes, you can proceed.
Okay. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Viveka, Professor of Anatomy in Aegis Medical College, Kollam, Kerala. He is put here in his more than 35 research papers in national and international reputed journals. He is associated with National Journal of Clinical Anatomy more than 3 years, and that he is also a content developer, host, designer, and at Aiden Oils Medicine. Okay, so I would like to welcome sir for your speech. Thank you.
Viveka sir, you can share the screen.
Yes, sir.
PowerPoint, I'm not seeing. You share the PowerPoint. I request the participants to please mute yourself. Hello? Hello?
Pushpa, I think sir has to unmute. He has not unmuted.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Apurva. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes. Can you see the screen, ma'am?
I am seeing the screen. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, everybody. The office bearers of NJCA and Dr.
Humble
Ravi,
request, other participant, please mute yourself. I continue, sir.
Yes, ma'am. To give this opportunity to speak on reference manager. As sir has rightly told in the beginning of his session, that the plagiarism should be avoided and authors should stick to the guidelines of the journal. So that is the main important thing. That the authors need to stick to the guidelines of NJCA while submitting manuscript to the NJCA. You need to go through the author guidelines. That's been clearly mentioned in the website, njca.info. So authors need to strictly stick to the guidelines which are mentioned over there. Now, in the next half an hour, we are going to look at the use of reference manager. My session will be for 5 minutes. We will be talking about the reference styles, different reference styles. In that, very specifically, we'll be talking about Vancouver or NLM style. And then we'll be talking about the reference manager, that is Zotero and Mendley. And then for another 10 minutes, I'll be demonstrating you the exact use of Zotero and Mendley. If at all you are not following, you can ask me or you can interrupt me anytime whenever you have a doubt. Shall we continue? Now, referencing is whatever, wherever you are taking any information from others' work, you need to refer it. Otherwise, it amounts to plagiarism. So, whenever we are quoting some other's research work, let it be anywhere. Let it be from the journal article, let it be from the textbook, or let it be from the conference proceedings, let it be from the website, or let it be from a dictionary. Anywhere we need to refer it properly. Okay, so only then we will be avoiding the plagiarism. Otherwise, it will be taken as plagiarism. So please, whatever we write, irrespective of what we write, it has to be referred properly. And what has to be referred? The author names should be referred, and the site of original publication, whether it is in the journal article, whether it is in the textbook, or whether it is in the conference proceedings, or if it is in the website, that has to be referred. And the year of publication, the mode of publication, whether it is in which volume, issue, the page numbers, all those things has to be referred. And how it has to be referred, there are different styles. Now, why the different styles have come up is, so ever since the evolution of the information superhighway, we have a lot of people coming and publishing their work. So the publishing houses, especially the reputed journals, they followed different methodology of citing references. So that's why we have come across different methods or different styles of referring. Now, worldwide international committee of medical journal editors have accepted Vancouver or MLA. So that particular Vancouver or NLM, that particular style we are going to consider in detail in a short while. And there is a small difference between two words called citation and bibliography that need to be noted. Whatever work we are citing and giving it at the end of the article will be called as citation. And sum total of the work on which our research write-up or scientific write-up is based on, irrespective whether we are cited or not, comes to bibliography. So let us be very clear about that. Now, with reference to the styles, we have different methods of styles. One is referred as Vancouver. This was introduced by the editors in 1978, age-old one, and some of it has been renewed and redefined in 2007, and we call it as National Library of Medicine. And in a similar way, we have different methods like APA, American Psychological Association, or ISO, International Standard Organization, or Harvard, or Chicago, or MLA, Modern Language Association. There are different varieties of referencing styles. We will be considering this particular Vancouver or NLM style. Now here, please do give attention to your screen. Now here, there will be the author names followed by the comma, and there will be a full stop, and then there will be the title of the article will be written in full and followed by a full stop, and then the title of the journal article in accepted abbreviated form. Okay, there are certain abbreviations which are accepted for the journal titles. For example, this one, New England Journal of Medicine. This is abbreviated as this particular thing. So accepted abbreviations are allowed, and followed by a full stop, then the year of publication, followed by semicolon, then the volume, then with the simple square brackets, the issue, then the colon, then the page numbers. This will amount to Vancouver or NLM method of referencing. However, there are lots of variations in the Vancouver itself. Okay, there are lots of variations within the Vancouver itself. Especially so whenever we are referring within the text. Within the text, the Vancouver may be, I'll just zoom across. What I've observed is many people are using the mobile phones. Very difficult for them to see that. Yeah, have a look at this. Now, in the text, quite often Vancouver is referred with the superscript in order of appearance. Please make a note, it is in the order of appearance. Now, whichever comes first has to be given 1, whichever comes next has to be given 2. Now, if this has to be done manually, a lot of effort and time and energy. So this to avoid such things, the reference managers comes handy. Now, the style what is recommended by NJCA is the style shown on your screen, where we asking authors to put the reference numbers within these square brackets, and followed by the full stop. That is the reference style which is recommended by the NJCA as of now. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I will continue. Sorry to interrupt you. Now, meanwhile, there are other methods also, like without superscript. This can be referred in simple running text also. This is also one of the Vancouver as well. Within the styling references, there are different methodology as well. For example, here only 2 authors, the third author onwards, use of et al is recommended, as we have recommended that within NJCA. After third author, et al is recommended. But in some other journals, all the authors should be named, or some other journals use after 6 authors, it has to be use of et al is recommended. Or in some of the journals, if you can appreciate here.
Viveka sir, sorry to interrupt. You please hide that scroll button there, lower down. Hide. It is showing hide, no? Okay. And
hide,
then it is a bit echoing, sir. So you, it's not clear. You
can put mic closer to your mouth.
Headphones.
Okay, now.
And you speak bit loudly, sir.
Okay, now is it okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now you can as well appreciate here. After the year, use of the month of the publication is recommended by some of the journals. There is also one way. But in NJCA, we follow something like this. After year, there is no, after the volume or the year, there is no month recommended there. And also there are differences in method of putting the page numbers. Say for example, if it is within the, say for example, as shown on the screen, if it is within that particular decimal, no need of writing 824 to 827 again. You can write 182427. So these things are very difficult if at all we are manually doing all these things. So in order to overcome all these hazards of or mistakes doing while referring, the use of reference manager is recommended. As I've told, in NJCA, the latest guidelines, we have we are recommending the use of National Library of Medicine referencing style. And within the text, it has to be numbered in series as a first appearance. And everything should be in superscript with square brackets. So that is the recommendation. That is about the reference styles. Now, with reference to the managers, there are different managers which are available in the internet. Many are free, few are should be bought. They are proprietary in nature. There are lots of things, as you can see over the screen. Of course, you can create your own reference manager as well. We'll be talking in the next 10 minutes. We'll be talking something about Zotero, and we'll be talking about Mendeley, and I will also introduce a small thing about Google Documents. We'll start with one which is there within the Word, like as you have all seen, within your Word document, there's a tab called References. And once you click on the references, there will be a sub-tab called Insert Citation. Now within that, you can manually add new source. Now if you click on that new source, something like this appears, where you can manually add the author details, titles, periodical title, year, edition, issue, page numbers, everything you can manually add. Now this was the original concept by Microsoft Word. In order to replace this, many of the journals come up with journal metadata, wherein the website itself hosts the metadata associated with these fields, we call as fields. Now there is an author field, the metadata defines who are the authors. There is a title field that defines what is the title of the article. The year field will hold the year, something like that. Now, if at all we consider the reference managers, the age-old one is EndNote. Later we have Mendeley, and we have Zotero also. I'll just show you the page of the Zotero. If at all you write, those who are new to the reference managers, you can take a note of this. It's called Zotero, Z-O-T-E-R-O, Zotero. If you can just Google Zotero, it will take you to the home page. And on the home page, you have a link called download. Once you click on the download, this page appears where you will be encouraged to download the Zotero 5.0 for Windows, or you can go for Linux or for the Mac. And it will also encourage you to install a Chrome connector. So please do note, you need both these applications to run Zotero. Now, once you click on Zotero 5.0 and install and click on the Word plugin, you also need a Word plugin. Once you click on that, a Word plugin will come and sit like this within your Word. So there will be a bar called Zotero bar. Within that, there will be different buttons. The first button will be for citation button. The third button will be for add bibliography button. And the fourth one will be for refreshing. So these are the important buttons which will be sitting in your Word document once you add the Word plugin for Zotero. Similar thing for the Mendeley. If you go to Mendeley, that is spelling is M-E-N-D-E-L-E-Y. If you just Google that, it will take you to the home page. There you will be encouraged to create a free account first. Okay, please do note the basic difference between Zotero and the Mendeley is Mendeley will carry all your references online. Zotero will be sitting in your laptop or the desktop wherever you are working. So Mendeley is more of an Mendeley is more of an online reference manager, and Zotero is more of an offline reference manager. You cannot work in Mendeley without internet connection. So you need internet connection, and every time your references are refreshed in an online library in Mendeley. So please do take a note of this. Now, once you download the Mendeley, you have to download the add-on button for your browser. Now, for the clarity, in the next 10 minutes, I will be showing you the demonstration of use of Manager, the reference manager. I will be using the Firefox in Mendeley in the Firefox browser, and I'll be using the Zotero in Chrome browser, so that there won't be any conflict between these two managers, because I will have to demonstrate both at a time. So you can use your browsers for whichever is your convenience. But I do recommend use of Chrome. The second recommendation will be Mozilla Firefox. Mozilla Firefox is a lot better than Chrome, because it will avoid a lot of peeping in by Google. Now, once you add in, so please do remember to if at all you want to download a manager, you need to download a reference manager. Then you need to download a browser plugin. Then you need to download a word processor plugin. So three important things, please do remember, three important things are required for a reference manager to work properly. One, the reference manager, anywhere, like Zotero or EndNote or the Mendeley, anything. Now you need a browser plugin. You need a browser plugin. Whichever browser you're using, Chrome or Firefox or Brave or anything, you need a browser plugin. The third thing what you need is a word processor plugin. Again, you may use different word processors. Most often used word processors is MS Word. So you need a word processor plugin to connect the reference manager with your word processor or document processor. So this is the three important things. Please do remember, without any of these, the reference manager do not work. So this is how the workflow is has to be set up before you uh, start your reference manager. Before we actually demonstrate a word about the Google document, in the Google document you can work in a similar way, online, entirely online. There we have a plugin, there we have a button called add-ons. Can you see this add-on here? Add-on. Once you click on add-on, there is an add-on button here called get add-ons. Low down, get add-ons. There you can have any bibliography creator. For example, I have used here EasyBib add-on in the Google document itself. Now, once you have such add-on in the Google document, on the go, you can write your manuscript without any processor installed in your laptop or the desktop. This works entirely online. So this is also possible. Now, with that introduction, I will go for demonstration now. Okay. Before demonstration, I need to conclude that don't write anything without a reference manager. Let it be your scientific research article. Let it be the review article. Let it be a case report. Let it be a WhatsApp communication. Let it be any mail. Please refer whatever you are writing, irrespective of what you are writing. It has to be referred. So please don't write anything without a reference manager. So I'll just go beyond this. I will share the entire screen. Now I need your concentration because I will be switching between the windows. Right now I am using a Windows 7. I will be switching between the windows. I will show you first I will show you the Zotero Reference Manager with the Chrome browser. Okay, the Zotero Reference Manager. Can you all see the Zotero Reference Manager on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the Zotero Reference Manager. If at all you open, it will look something like this. The Zotero. Now on here on the left hand side, there will be a library of references, as you can see here. Now you can create different folders. Click on the first button there. It will create a new folder. Let us create a new folder here. Let us give a name called NJCA webinar. NJCA webinar. Okay. Now once the folder is created, then it is empty. Now we are ready to go with the Zotero Reference Manager. Now let us say we are working on a manuscript titled Blood Supply of the Brain. Okay, we are working on something called maybe variations in the circle of Willis or variations in the branching pattern of the middle cerebral artery, or we are trying to find out which is the first branch of middle cerebral, something like that we are trying to find out. And we in search of our manuscript details, we will go to the giant in the net called Google Scholar. Okay, this is where the subtitle of this Google Scholar is "Stand on the Shoulders of the Giant." Okay, this scholar will give you all the scholarly articles, all the scientific related articles. Here we are going to type out the relevant search. Okay, 3 terms. So how to identify the key terms? Those things we will have a different webinar altogether. Now, for the time being, we will search a key term of our article called blood supply of the brain. as Ravi sir has already mentioned, please refer. No, see, you can see here. First article we're showing is 1890. Okay, it's almost 30 years back. So please refer something which is really recent. Okay, 8 to 10 years accepted. So let us take something which is recent. Okay, since 2016 on the left hand side of your Google Scholar, there is a timeline. You can select that 2016, and now let us say we are working on the fetal um, blood brain barrier or something related to that. So this will take us to the journal site, which is the publisher is Kaga, and the journal name is the journal. The article is severity of the fetal blood brain abnormalities or something. And here are the authors, and here is the DOI of the article. Now this we have to read the abstract, if possible, full text. Okay, full text also we need to be reading properly, and then we are going to formulate a sentence out of this. Okay, the title of the article is severity of fetal brain abnormalities in congenital heart disease. Okay, so we are suppose we have read this article and we have formulated our own sentence. Please don't cut paste anything. We have formulated our own sentence. The sentence goes like this. Okay, there is a connection between fetal. Can you all hear me? Please mute yourself. I am going to
Yes,
type
sir.
a sentence which we have taken from after reading the abstract or the full text. There is a connection between blood supply of brain and congenital abnormalities of heart. This is the sentence which I have taken after reading this article. Imagine. Okay. Now I need to refer. This. Now, if at all I have to manually refer, then we have to go to references here and then insert citation on this. All those laborious work I need to do. Simply, if at all I have added this Zotero, can you all see this on the right side where the cursor is pointed here? The cursor is pointed on the right side of your screen.
You have to move it.
I know many of you.
Right.
Many of you are using small mobile screens. It may be very difficult to see that. I do agree. But if you open the same thing on your laptop, then once you install the Chrome connector for the Zotero, this will appear like this on your just next to your URL bar or the home bar. So once you click on that, this will take the metadata associated with this article. You can see the pop-up here. It is taking a metadata associated with this article to the folder which I have mentioned. Okay, NJCA webinar. Now it is taking a metadata associated with this article. Okay, it is showing saving to. Now it has already saved. Now let us go to Zotero and appreciate what it has taken. Okay, I'll just enlarge a bit. Now have a look at this. It has taken that the item is journal article. It was already decided that this is a journal article. No need to change here. See, there are so many types of articles, so many types of references can be there. Okay, it has already taken as journal article. It has taken the title from the article. It has already, this is the most important work which a manager does. Quite often, even if we manually do, there will be a lot of problems with the author names. Like we may not be able to differentiate between first name and the second name of the author. So it has taken all the authors, and it has taken which is the journal name. Okay, is fetal diagnosis and therapy. So if you have appreciated, when I first read this particular website, I was not able to locate where is the title of the article. Sorry, journal type. So that itself was not not able to locate because that was not highlighted here. So the title of the journal title is Fetal Diagnosis and the Therapy. And now, and it has already taken all the author names. And if you have appreciated, the authors, number of authors is more than 6. It has already easily taken all the author names. Okay. And then it has taken volume, issue, page number, date, everything it has taken, DOI, date access, everything it has taken. Now let us remember 1 or 2 words from the title of the article and let us cite it. Okay. To insert the cursor where you want to cite the article and go to add-ins, click the first button where you are supposed to be inserting the Zotero insert citation. Okay, once you click on the button, then there will be a pop-up button here, a pop-up window. It will ask you which type of style you are supposed to be using for the manuscript you are preparing. Okay. Now, out of so many styles, we will be selecting Vancouver Superscript because that's what is required for NJCA. Once you select that, a pop-up is shown on the screen, and you just type fetal blood supply. Okay, fetal blood supply. Now, this is the article taken from Fetal Diagnosis and Therapy, the severity of fetal blood-brain abnormalities, fetal brain abnormalities. Now, once you select, click enter, it will insert number 1 there. I hope it is clear. It will insert number 1 there, and wherever you want references, that is at the end of the article, you need references. You just click the 3rd button, insert bibliography. It will insert the bibliography in the way it is required. See that it has inserted the author names. It has taken 6 authors, and then later it has inserted et al. Then severity of fetal blood-brain, that the title of the article is inserted. Then the name of the journal is inserted, and then the year, publication year, volume, issue, and the page number is inserted. So exactly according to the way. Okay. Let us have one more demonstration from our journal. Okay, NJCA. So I have this is our NJCA homepage of the current issue. So if at all I go to teratogenic effects, say for example, I'll take one article by Dr. Pratibha Shakya. Now the teratogenic effects of valproate on the fetal mice. Okay. Now I have to go through this article. And conclude in my own way, conclude in my own terms, like valproate affects fetal brain. Okay, this is the conclusion. This is the sentence which I have written after going to this particular journal article. Okay, I have not copied anything, so I have to read it first, and then after going to this, I have concluded. I have taken that sentence. Now, if at all I click on the Zotero tab, this will take the metadata associated with this article to the manager. See, let's say, for example, this one. Okay. Let us yes, ma'am.
I could see.
Now it has taken the metadata associated with that. Exactly the way it will require. Okay, we can see this. The metadata associated with this, okay, is there already. Now we can insert in the similar way. Okay, I'll just demonstrate. I'll just demonstrate another example. We'll get back to the Google Scholar. Now we will go to the article which is published in 2017 in Science Direct. Model of blood supply to brain via carotid arteries. Okay. So here we will type after going through that. Here we are going to type the sentence. Carotid artery and vertebral artery supply blood to brain. Okay, and I want to cite this particular article in my manuscript. So I am going to click on that, and it is going to take the metadata associated with this article. If you open up the Zotero manager, this is how the entire metadata is looking like. Okay, I will just take title here, copy, and then get back to my Word document. Place a cursor where I want to place the second reference. Click the first button, and then paste the title of the article in the pop-up. Then it will search the library and suggest this 2017 published article in Medical Emergencies and Engineering and Physics. I select that and click enter. Now it will come to 2. It has assigned the number 2. And if I go down, please have a look at this. This is how this second reference is already populated. This is auto population. The most important use of such reference manager is tomorrow you want to put this first sentence and take it out and put it in the discussion. Okay, put it in the discussion. Okay. Now, if at all you put it in the description, now as we have told, the references should be in the order of appearance. In the order of appearance. Okay. So this has to be 1 and this has to be 2. Imagine a thesis or a manuscript having 40 or 50 references. That time, such kind of orderly arrangement of references is quite laborious. Now, if you have reference manager, just click the refresh button. It will automatically change the numbers. It will automatically change the numbers. While copying, I have pasted it as text. That's why it has lost. So now it has all. Now, if at all we give, I'll just show you once again. While copying, what I've done is, while copying, I have just copied it as text. That's why it has lost the number there. Okay, I will just demonstrate to you again. I will insert fetal brain. Okay, now we will have one more. We will have one more reference. We will give it as number 3. Okay, I will this as number 3 now. Now, if at all I take it out and put it here. Okay, now if at all I refresh, see there 1, 3, 2 is there on your screen. If at all I refresh the Zotero manager, it will automatically change number 1 to 3. Yeah, and exactly like that, it will appear in your references as well. So this is the way it can be very simply and very clearly. We can use reference manager for citing our work. I hope things are clear with this Zotero. If it is clear, we will move to the Mendeley. Almost the same thing. Mendeley looks like almost similar. Only difference is Mendeley will manage all your references online. Okay, it will manage all your references online. So even if you do not work in the same laptop, okay, you need not worry. You can open Mendeley anywhere in any laptop and start working on your manuscript. This exactly same thing can be done in Zotero as well. You just have to create an account here. export library or create an account. Here is a sign in there in the Zotero. Once sign in, then it will create an account in your name, and it will have a library in the Zotero also. But Mendeley has made it mandatory for logging in, so that on the right top corner your details are shown on the right top corner, and it will maintain your profile online. Okay, this is my profile, and it will have all my references online. So if at all you think it is invading your privacy, then you may restrict some of the access from Mendeley to your profile. Otherwise, if you do not think, you can actually give complete access to Mendeley. Okay. Now I'll demonstrate the use of Mendeley Reference Manager with Mozilla Firefox browser. Okay, for this I have taken a head title as variation in the hepatic artery. We'll go to the Mozilla Firefox. Okay, and the same thing in the Google Scholar, we will write the keyword hepatic artery. Keyword hepatic artery. We will take articles, recent articles, and we are going to take the first article here. Okay, the main anatomical variations of hepatic artery and their importance in the surgical practice. Now, once the article is loaded, if you can appreciate on the right top corner, there is a small icon which is having a Mendeley display. So once you click on that, it will take the metadata associated with this article to the Mendeley. Not just that, this Mendeley is little cleverer than Zotero. It will scan the entire web on the screen. Okay, that's why if you can appreciate that, it is taking a lot of time. Okay, it is taking a lot of time. Why it has taken a lot of time is it has analyzed the entire website, not just the article on the screen. It has already also analyzed the references on the related article also. See there, if you can scroll down, it has taken references from other studies also displayed on the screen. If you are interested on all these things, you can go there. Otherwise, you can select only the first one and click on Add to Mendeley. Once you click on Add to Mendeley, if you have the Mendeley Manager open, it will go and add that to the Mendeley here. Okay. The main difference is not a local work, it is adding to your online library. It is adding to your online library, and you need to click sync here to reflect the same on your screen. I hope I'm not confusing too much. You need to click on sync here to reflect the same on your screen. So once you click on the article which is under consideration, then it has taken all the references, all the metadata associated with it, and also there is a clear-cut tag on the top. If you can see that, there's something which is highlighted in magenta color, that these details need reviewing. Okay, like some of the metadata entered by the journal may not be appropriate. That's why it is red flagging the information. Now, if at all I click on details are correct, then it will assume that the details are correct. Now, it has taken date, access, publisher, URL, along with the other details which are there, along with the article like journal name, year, volume, page, where the author names, everything it has taken. The main advantage is it has some inbuilt technology to read the PDF as well. But not the crude ones. PDF also will have metadata. Only those which have got metadata embedded within the PDF, that will be read by the Mendeley. But it is not possible with the Zotero. Okay. Now, once you come back, say for example, variations in the hepatic artery, once you come back to our article in consideration, so I have to read the article and I have to write in my own sentence, like hepatic artery usually shows a lot of variations. Now here I need to insert a reference. Okay. Now I place a constructor over there and click on references. I have already added the Word plugin for the Mendeley. And once I click on insert citation, here if at all I type the hepatic artery, then the reference, the article which is just downloaded into Mendeley Manager is displayed here, and I click on that and click on OK, and it will take the style which is defined in this particular tab. The style which is defined in this particular tab. Here I have defined National Library of Medicine. I can as well take Mendeley Vancouver superscript. So once I click on Vancouver superscript, it has come in the square brackets. Now, wherever I want the references to be placed, I will go there and I will click on Insert Bibliography within the References tab. So once I click on Insert Bibliography within the References tab, it will insert the way it is defined in the style. Now, if at all I take up National Library of Science, it has changed. Now, if at all I take the Chicago manual style, it has changed. This particular style definition is very, 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 very useful if at all you are considering your manuscript to be submitted to a different journal requiring a different style. Let's say, for example, you have submitted to NJCA. We require NLM. Now, say, for example, we have rejected. Now, you want to submit to some other journal. There, they have requested your APA model, or you want to go for AAA. There, in that AAA, they want, I think, the MLS style. So there you can select this style, and just in one click, all your references will move to a different style. Now, this is the most important advantage of using a reference manager. Now, in order to define new styles, you may click on more styles. You can scroll down here, or if you want to get more styles, you can go to the style citation, and you can select. You can just start typing any of these. There are Mendeley as well as Zotero defines more than 300 styles, and you can select any of these and install. It will just install in 1 or 2 seconds, and then start using it on the go. So these are the advantages of reference manager. Similar things can be used in the Zotero as well. Now I just want to demonstrate to you one small glitch here. Say, for example, a reference, a journal article do not have a embedded metadata. If at all you do not have a embedded metadata. Say, for example, there are lots of Indian journals. Say, for example, international.
Sir, how long?
Just 5 more minutes. Now, if at all you need to add, say for example, if at all you do not have an embedded metadata, say for example this one, okay. If at all you do not have an embedded metadata, Zotero has not changed. Have a look at this. It has taken it as a web page. Okay, it has not changed at all. It has not changed into Zotero icon at all. So it has taken it as a web page. Now, if at all you want to refer this particular article, for example, you go to this PDF, and this PDF do not have any embedded metadata at all, then you need to get back to your Zotero and click on plus new item and click on journal article. Then you have to manually enter the title. Manually enter the title. Then publication name, then the volume, issue, pages, dates, everything you have to manually enter. Now, I do strongly recommend, even if it takes time, everybody should manually at least enter these things wherever you want to refer to the scientific literature which do not have an embedded metadata. Because on a later date, if you want to change the position of your sentences, or if you want to delete something, or if at all you want to change something in your manuscript, then once you have once you have used the reference manager according to the way it has been described, then it will automatically rearrange numbers and it will automatically generate the reference for you. If you do not have this, and if you manually do it, then you have to do all the 40, 50 or 80, 100 references manually. That is one. Second important thing is, if at all you want to consider your manuscript to be submitted to other journals, then reference manager styles, change of styles comes very, very handy. So that's the overall conclusion. Now, I would like to conclude my talk by again telling you that don't write anything without having a reference manager. A reference manager is a must before writing any scientific article. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity for presenting here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivek
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, Vivek sir, for enlightening us about the most difficult part of writing a manuscript. Hope it's going to be very of immense of every researchers. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Mehendi Mahajan, Professor Sri Muthu Medical College Hospital and Research Center, Chennai, to give feedback and propose vote of ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me, Apurva?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fair enough. Honorable President of SOCA, Dr. Sivakumar sir, respected General Secretary, Dr. Muthukumaravel sir, our vibrant and vigorous Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Kumar Satish Ravi sir, and our most valued invited medical fraternity. It's indeed my pleasure and privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks. I, on behalf of the entire NJCA team, extend a hearty vote of thanks towards Dr. Sivakumar sir for gracing this occasion and his commitment on kindling the younger mind towards betterment. I express my sincere thanks to our General Secretary, Dr. Muthukumaravel, for his dedication and steadfastness towards any organizing event by the NJCA and professes the importance of such events. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for the Editor-in-Chief, Dr. Kumar Satish sir, for his assiduous efforts for rendering a significant topic and giving an excellent coverage on the preparation and publishing of a scientific manuscript. We are very delighted and grateful towards Dr. Viveka sir for demonstrating and illustrating the usage of the reference manager, which was indeed the need of the hour in the current situation, as many of us do struggle in that area. This insight today would indeed save a lot of time and energy in the manuscript referencing. President sir, General Secretary sir, and our medical fraternity. This event never happens just like that. Weeks go by in basically turning this event into such a mega event. It requires planning and a bird's eye view for all the details. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues who are very result oriented. I cannot thank everyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on completing any task even beyond the comfort zones. And so I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude for the logistics support and the unflagging energy extended by the NJCA core team towards organizing this humongous event. Finally, my dear beloved medical fraternity family, their inquisitiveness and the thirst for information pushes us further towards organizing such events and expressing the wholehearted gratitude for your adorning this task even in such kind of crisis. President sir, General Secretary sir, and all the dear medical family, I once again utmost gratefully and graciously, I'm very thankful towards all the speakers and hope that this kind of support would always be extended towards our family. We
Hello. Hello. Okay. Because of the shortage of time, we are not able to take the questions. We had scheduled till 5 o'clock. So if you have any questions, please do write in the chat box, and we will be sending the links to all the registered participants for the feedback, and email e-certificate also will be sent to you. I request editor in chief to give the final remarks, if anything is there. Hello.
Yes. So I would like to thank each and everyone, especially to our president and general secretary, sir, who has been very kind to us. Whenever we needed any kind of support, we have always heard yes from them. So we are really truly grateful to our president, general secretary, and even treasurer, Dr. Kavi sir, who is not over here. But the NJCA team is grateful to Dr. Kavi sir also, and all the office bearers of Society of Clinical Anatomists. Today, NJCA is in this position. It is all because of the support of the office bearers, and whole NJCA team is grateful to them. And we are grateful to all the members of the Society of Clinical Anatomists. They have shown immense support in the team of NJCA, and we are working hard to come up to the expectations of the members of Society of Clinical Anatomists. And I'm sure that our team, who are working day and night, will be doing best, and we will be giving our best. And very soon we will be having another academic session or another academic event to enlighten our young generation people, be it UG, PGs, and the younger faculty. So with this, I thank my NJCA team also, who has worked a lot for making this event successful. And what to say, we are missing our another team members also. Dr. Rose was also supposed to come, but she is not here. She also worked a lot in organizing this event. And apart from that, we are thankful to each members who has participated in this event. Thanks to one and all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. K.S. Ravi and your team. You have done a nice job. Thanks so much.
All your questions are noted. Viveka sir, please note the questions with regard to your session, and it will be definitely answered. Because of the time constraint, we are not able to take the questions. Otherwise, actually, we had the session on interaction. Thank you all for your kind cooperation and patient hearing. Thank you so much for registering.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the NJCA team. Thank you for this. We are expecting more from NJCA. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We'll be ending the meeting.
Okay. See you.